1. The conventional long hood. The conventional long hood is the classic American semi-truck design, the shape every non-trucker pictures when they hear 18-wheeler. The engine sits in front of the cab under a long hinged fiberglass or aluminum hood. The driver looks out over that hood through a tall windshield. Extended hood versions push the bumper to back of cab measurement to 127 inches or more. The Peterbilt 379, 389, and the new 589 are the most famous examples, along with the Kenworth W900L. The long hood accommodates big-bore 15-liter engines like the Cummins X15 and gives trucks the proportions that define American trucking culture. Owner-operators love them for the look, the driver comfort, and the crash protection. A long hood puts significant distance between the driver and whatever the truck hits. The downside is fuel economy. That long nose catches wind. But for drivers who care about image, resale value, and ride quality, the long hood is the gold standard. 2. The short hood, conventional. The short hood conventional keeps the engine in front of the cab but shortens the overall hood length significantly. Bumper to back of cab measurements typically run 112 to 119 inches, compared to 125 to 127 inches on long hoods. The shorter nose improves maneuverability in tight urban environments and slightly increases payload length for the trailer behind. The Peterbilt 384, Kenworth T800 short hood, and the short wheelbase Freightliner Cascadia are common examples. The trade-off is engine size. A 112-inch BBC hood physically can't accommodate a 15-liter big-bore engine. Short hood trucks typically run 12 to 13-liter engines like the PACCAR MX-13, Cummins X12, or Detroit DD13. That limits them to regional, vocational, and medium-weight applications. For heavy haul over 80,000 pounds, a short hood usually isn't the right truck. But for regional fleets running predictable loads on city-to-city routes, short hoods deliver better fuel economy and easier handling than their long hood counterparts. 3. The aerodynamic conventional, modern aero. The aerodynamic conventional is the modern evolution of the long hood. The engine still sits in front of the cab, but the hood, bumper, fairings, and cab are all shaped by wind tunnel testing to cut drag. Every curve, every gap, every panel is engineered to slip through air cleaner than the trucks that came before. The Freightliner Cascadia is the dominant example. Its latest generation achieves up to 7 mpg on long-haul routes, roughly 30% better than classic long hoods. The Peterbilt 579 with the EPIQ Aero package, Kenworth T680, and Volvo VNL all follow the same philosophy. Chassis fairings smooth airflow underneath. Cab extenders close the gap to the trailer. Roof fairings redirect wind over the top. Low-drag mirrors, integrated sun visors, and sealed wheel wells all reduce turbulence. Fleets running long-haul routes have moved almost entirely to aero conventionals because fuel savings over 1 million miles outweigh every other consideration. 4. The Cabover, COE. The Cabover engine design places the cab directly above the engine rather than behind it. The result is a completely flat front face with no protruding hood. The entire cab tilts forward on hydraulic pistons to provide engine access. Cabovers dominated American trucking in the 1960s and 70s when federal length regulations capped overall truck length at 65 feet. Every inch saved on the tractor meant more trailer length for freight. The Kenworth K100, Peterbilt 352, and Freightliner COE were legendary rigs. When length laws changed in 1976, allowing longer overall combinations without counting the tractor, conventionals came back and cabovers disappeared from American highways. Today, cabovers only exist in light and medium-duty urban applications. Hino, Isuzu, and Fuso run them for city delivery where tight turning radius matters. Europe still runs cabovers almost exclusively because EU length laws demand it. In heavy American Class 8 trucking, the cabover is effectively extinct. 5. The set forward axle. The set forward axle configuration places the front steer axle under or just behind the front of the hood, further forward than a standard conventional layout. This design shifts more weight onto the steer axle, improving load distribution in certain applications. Set forward axles are common on vocational trucks, dump trucks, and trucks built for heavy haul, where front axle capacity matters. The Kenworth T880, Peterbilt 567, and Freightliner 122 SD all offer set forward axle options. The advantage is gross vehicle weight distribution. Pushing the steer axle forward means more of the load can sit on the front without exceeding federal axle weight limits. The disadvantage is turning radius. A set forward axle increases the distance from the front bumper to the steer axle, making tight turns harder. For highway long haul, set forward is rarely used. For construction, dump, logging, and heavy haul vocational applications, it's a legitimate design choice that solves real weight distribution problems. 6. The setback axle. The setback axle pulls the front steer axle rearward, tucking it closer to the cab. This is the standard layout on most modern highway tractors. Pulling the axle back shortens the front overhang, tightens the turning radius, and improves maneuverability. For long-haul highway trucks like the Freightliner Cascadia, Peterbilt 579, Kenworth T680, and Volvo VNL, setback axle is the default configuration because highway driving rewards agility and cab-forward visibility. The downside is weight distribution. Less of the load sits on the steer axle, which means vocational applications hauling heavy cargo on the front often need set-forward layouts instead. For standard 80,000-pound highway loads distributed across a properly spec'd trailer, setback works perfectly. It's the geometry that makes modern aerodynamic conventionals possible. The shorter front overhang is what lets designers push the cab forward and create the sleek shapes that cut drag. Setback is highway optimized. Set forward is vocational optimized. 7. The day cab. The day cab is a conventional truck without any sleeping compartment behind the cab. The cab ends immediately behind the driver's seat. These trucks are built for regional routes, drayage work, urban delivery, and local hauling where the driver goes home every night and never sleeps in the truck. Day cabs are shorter, lighter, and cheaper than their sleeper counterparts. A day cab version of a Freightliner Cascadia weighs 200 to 500 pounds less than the sleeper version, which directly translates to more payload capacity. Fuel economy is slightly better. Maneuverability is significantly better. Shorter wheelbase, tighter turning radius, easier dock navigation. Day cabs dominate certain fleet types. Port drayage operations, grocery distribution fleets, construction haulers, and local LTL runs almost exclusively use day cabs. Federal hours of service rules still apply to day cab drivers, but rest periods happen off-duty, in hotels or at home, not inside the truck itself. 8. The flat-top sleeper. The flat-top sleeper is the classic sleeper design. A low-profile compartment behind the cab with a flat roof that doesn't rise above the cab line. The sleeper bunk sits directly behind the driver's seat. Interior height is limited. Most flat tops offer about 36 to 48 inches of vertical space, meaning drivers sit or lie down inside but can't stand up. Flat tops are popular among drivers who value the classic long hood look with a compact sleeper profile. Peterbilt 389 flat tops and Kenworth W900L flat tops are iconic examples. The low profile also improves aerodynamics slightly compared to taller sleepers and keeps overall truck weight down. Trade-off is interior comfort. No standing room, less storage, minimal amenities. For drivers who only use the sleeper occasionally or prefer a traditional truck aesthetic, flat tops work well. For full-time OTR drivers spending weeks on the road, most prefer the upgraded comfort of a mid-roof or high-roof configuration. 9. The mid-roof sleeper. The mid-roof sleeper is the compromise configuration. Taller than a flat top, shorter than a full high-roof condo. Interior height typically runs 58 to 72 inches, giving drivers enough headroom to stand stooped, maneuver comfortably, and install essentials like refrigerators and microwaves without losing the cleaner profile of a shorter sleeper. Mid-roofs are popular for drivers running trucks that frequently pull oversized or reefer trailers where roof clearance matters. The lower profile also has measurably better aerodynamics than a full high roof, which translates to noticeable fuel savings on long-haul routes. The Peterbilt 579 mid-roof and Kenworth T680 mid-roof sleepers are common configurations for fleet drivers who want comfort without the fuel penalty of a full condo. For owner-operators, mid-roofs balance livability and economics. You can cook, sleep, store gear, and be comfortable, but you're not carrying as much weight or aerodynamic drag as the full-height versions. 10. The high-roof condo sleeper. The high-roof condo sleeper is the full-size, full-amenity living space, the truck that became famous as a driver's home on wheels. Interior height runs 76 to 90 inches, meaning a 6-foot-plus driver stands fully upright inside the sleeper without ducking. The Freightliner Cascadia 72-inch raised roof, Peterbilt 579 Ultraloft, and Kenworth T680 next-gen high roof are industry-leading examples. These sleepers are actual living quarters. Full-size mattresses, refrigerators, microwaves, TV mounts, closet storage, blackout curtains, climate control with diesel-fired bunk heaters, inverters for household appliances, and in some cases full cabinetry with countertops. Drivers spend weeks at a time inside these units. The trade-offs are weight and drag. A full condo sleeper adds 800 to 1,500 pounds over a day cab, and the tall profile cuts fuel economy by roughly 3 to 5% compared to a mid-roof. But for long-haul OTR drivers, the comfort is essential to staying healthy, rested, and on the road. 11. The custom extended sleeper. Custom extended sleepers are the luxury end of the heavy-duty market. Sleeper compartments stretched beyond factory specifications to 132, 156, or even 220 inches in length. Companies like ARI Legacy Sleepers, Bolt Custom, and Double Eagle Trailers build these units and mount them to premium Peterbilt 389s, Kenworth W900Ls, and Volvo VNLs. Inside, these aren't just sleepers. They're rolling studio apartments, full kitchens with stoves and ovens, full bathrooms with showers and toilets, dinette seating, separate bedrooms, leather sofas, big screen TVs, residential-grade cabinetry. Some units exceed 300 square feet of living space. Costs run from $50,000 to over $200,000 for the sleeper alone, on top of a $180,000 truck. Target customers are team drivers, specialized haulers on long-duration contracts, and owner-operators who've made the truck their permanent home on wheels. These aren't for fleet service. They're for drivers who spend 300 or more nights a year on the road and need full residential living. 12. The Vocational Severe Service. Vocational and severe service trucks are built for job site abuse that highway trucks can't survive. Heavy-gauge steel bumpers, reinforced frame rails, upgraded cooling packages, raised ground clearance, and heavy-duty suspensions are all standard. These trucks work in construction, mining, oil field, logging, and heavy vocational operations where rough terrain, overloading, and harsh conditions are daily realities. The Peterbilt 567, Kenworth T880, Freightliner 114 SD and 122 SD, and Mack Granite all fall in this category. Cooling packages are oversized to handle low-speed, high-load operation without overheating. Frame rails are stronger to resist twisting under vocational stress. Axles, suspensions, and wheel ends are upgraded to handle gross vehicle weights that exceed highway truck specifications. Cab entry is often higher to clear obstacles. These trucks sacrifice fuel economy, ride quality, and highway speed for pure durability. A vocational truck runs fewer highway miles per year, but accumulates engine hours faster under heavier loads than any highway tractor ever will. 13. The heavy haul. Heavy haul trucks are a specialized subset of vocational design, engineered for payloads far beyond standard 80,000-pound legal limits. These rigs pull extendable trailers, multi-axle platforms, and specialized heavy-duty trailers carrying 150,000 to over 500,000 pounds. The tractors themselves are built differently. Heavy-spec Peterbilt 389s, Kenworth W990s, and Western Star 49Xs use reinforced frames rated for extreme gross combination weights. Engines run the most powerful big-bore options. Cummins X15 Performance Series at 605 horsepower, Detroit DD16 at up to 600 horsepower, paired with heavy-duty 18-speed transmissions, or Allison automatics built to handle massive torque. Rear axle ratios are numerically higher for pulling power over speed. Cooling packages, drivetrain components, and brake systems all upgrade significantly. Many heavy-haul tractors run triple or quad axles behind the cab to distribute weight across more tires. The driver market for heavy haul is small and specialized. These are some of the highest-paid truck driving jobs in the country. 14. The single-axle tractor, 4x2. The single-axle tractor has one drive axle in the rear rather than the standard tandem 2. Total axle count, including the steer, is 2 axles, hence the fork 2 designation. 4 wheels total on the drive axle, 2 on the front. These tractors are lighter, more fuel efficient, and carry less gross combined weight than tandem drive trucks. Single axles are common in regional fleets hauling lighter loads, LTL carriers where trailers max out on cube before they max out on weight, and beverage distribution where route cycles matter more than payload. The weight savings, usually 1,000 to 2,500 pounds compared to a tandem, translates directly to payload capacity and fuel economy. Gross combination weight is typically capped at 65,000 to 72,000 pounds depending on spec. Traction is the main limitation. A single drive axle has less grip in snow, mud, or steep grades than a tandem. For paved highway operations in moderate climates, 4x2 tractors are the most efficient choice available. 15. The tandem drive, 664. The tandem drive, or 664, is the dominant Class 8 highway tractor configuration in North America. 6 wheel positions total, 4 of them driven, 1 steer axle and 2 drive axles in the rear. The tandem design spreads load weight across more axles, increases traction significantly over a single drive setup, and supports the full 80,000-pound gross combination weight legal on U.S. interstates. This is the standard highway rig. Every Freightliner Cascadia, Peterbilt 579, Kenworth T680, Volvo VNL, and Mack Anthem sleeper you see on an interstate runs 6x4. The 2 rear drive axles can be configured as power divider tandems, lockable inner axle differentials, or fully locking for maximum traction in poor conditions. Most tractors use air ride suspension with load equalizers that automatically balance weight between the 2 drive axles. For long-haul, regional, and most vocational work where 80,000 pounds is the target, the 6x4 is the workhorse configuration of the American trucking industry. 16. The tridem, 6x4, pusher setup. Tridem configurations add a third axle to the rear of the tractor, creating a 6-axle tractor rated for higher gross weights. The third axle can be a lift axle that drops down only when carrying heavy loads, a pusher axle positioned ahead of the drive tandem, or a tag axle positioned behind. Lift axles are the most common in U.S. applications. They stay raised during light load operation to reduce tire wear and drag, then lower for heavier loads to legally distribute weight. States vary on bridge weight formulas, but tridem setups allow tractors to legally carry 90,000 to 105,000 pounds gross combination in states with higher weight allowances. Canada and certain U.S. industrial corridors permit even higher limits. Tridem tractors are common in logging, heavy construction, oil field work, and specialized heavy haul, anywhere legal gross weight exceeds 80,000 pounds. The extra axle adds complexity, cost, and weight, so they're only used where the freight justifies the investment.